Doopity doo doo. Dang doo diggly. Doopity doo 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 doo. Hi everybody, I'm doing a show today. Listen, hey, Hal's gonna be here in a couple minutes. He gonna come in. Don't worry, he's running a little late today. They was having a look. You cannot have a person like me running around inside your dome and then have a grown man with a truck drive by a bunch of flea markets. And by flea markets, I mean yard sales. And by yard sales, I mean anybody who throws out an easy chair and leaves it on their lawn. Because to me, that is one of two things. One, free stuff, which is my favorite price in the whole world. Okay? And then the other thing it is an invitation to cop a squat. Sit down, enjoy yourself, set a spell. And so, I'll be here in just a minute. Give it a second, and he'll be right with you. Okay? Hold on. Let me see it. I'll go to this thing right here. I'll push that button. He'll be here with his old pretty face in just a second. Okay? I need you guys to know that. It's fine. Okay? It's fine. This is important. Hold on. There you go. Karen, switch to that guy. And then we switch over to here. Oh, yeah. And then you push this button, and you stop it. There I am. I'm back. Hi, everybody. I was. Can you tell I've been dicking around behind the scenes? I hope my place was held. In this process, it's a weird feature. What is happening with it? Is it the light over there? It just makes my hair look dusty. We'll figure it out. Just like shiny from here down. It might be the lighting. It looks like it gets wet right here. I don't know what that is. We'll figure it out. Anyways, hi everybody. Welcome. So glad you could join me today, and I'm sorry I was running late. Hit the like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Do us some good. I just went over to Stuttering John's, and you'll be happy to know, people who are regulars of his show, he can now raid shows from Twitch. I've shown him how. Whether he does it or not, that's part of it. You have some gray hair. I have a couple of them. They're good. And also, he can get stars on Facebook now. There you go. That is right. So, anyways, here we go. I think this camera is still set on green screen or something, too. That might be part of it. Yeah, no. There goes the green out of the thing over there. No, that's all right. I don't know. Picture settings are all weird. Turn the gamma up. Maybe that's it. That could be... Turn the saturation. No, that's not that. The temperature. There's all these new settings on here. So, we'll figure it out. Anyways, here I am. Your Rocket Queen. Oh, yeah. And speaking of Rocket Queens, I was surprised. I think many of you would probably be equally surprised. We've been enjoying the fact that the Republicans have been telling on each other. There's been a lot of rhino talk these days. But I was very surprised, quite surprised, that they have actually started telling on themselves. Now, I need to check this to make sure you guys can hear the audio on this stuff, because I don't trust any of this stuff. But, so hopefully you will be able to. Fingers crossed. We shall see. Gathering around. Let's see. Let's go to here. There we go. Yes, it's her. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I apologize. It's just life. What are you going to do? Now let's see. I'm going to take. Why is there's only one screen on this thing, and it's a nightmare. Let me just move this over so I can see. Okay.
Collaborators. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Okay. Did you guys hear that? I guess so. Hold on. It seems very loud, but we'll see.
The collaborators.
Oh, yeah.
That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Oh, boy, here we go. The collaborators. Somebody is collaborating with China. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the reason Laura Ingraham is doing this is because Republicans, and especially Donald Trump, have been doing this very thing, and people are catching on, and so therefore, where there's smoke, there's fire over here. Also, suddenly, it seems okay on the, it's real, is it loud? Okay, good. It also seems that they're now turning on corporate America in a way they never did before, because American company's bad. But let's see where this goes.
Now, the biggest long-term threat to America, it's not Russia or Iran or North Korea, although all of them present unique challenges.
It's lip plumper, misused, giving one a mild look of Bell's palsy. No, that's not it. That's not the other thing. It's, let's see. It's tennis elbow, making it very difficult for you to salute. No. Out over time, what's that? Shoulder rotator cuff issues that make it difficult for you to raise your hand above. I'm not even going to pose in that. Let somebody grab it.
And it's certainly not what the Democrats on the Hill and the Biden administration are focused on.
Do you agree with your predecessors that white supremacist extremists remain the most persistent lethal threat in the homeland?
Persistent lethal threat in the homeland. Now, I know what you're thinking. We just both heard that. What do you think the odds are that that she did not see what the senator was saying?
I do believe they do at this time.
Well, yeah, the most lethal present threat in the homeland. Just saying, if you're going to, in the homeland, current organized lethal threat that they deal with. I mean, could we go ghost guns, something like that? But in terms of an organization, and of course, domestic threat, we've dealt with this.
The violent extremist threat we face comes from.
He even said it.
They do at this time.
The top domestic violent extremist threat we face comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
Yeah. So the domestic terrorism threat by Americans, for Americans, made by Americans, of all of them, white supremacists are they're number one. They're number one. Don't worry, black supremacists are number 3 on the list. It's okay. It's a long list, but I don't think that's concerning to Laura Ingraham.
The biggest threat facing our democracy and our way of life is the Chinese Communist Party.
Well, that would be on a geopolitical stage, and only if you don't immediately go from this to an ad for Walmart.
Now, under Biden, we find ourselves trying to play catch-up with or blocking the CCP in their efforts to expand their power base across the globe.
We do? Biden's only been in for 10 months. Why would we be playing catch-up with the expansion if it hadn't sort of been expanding during the last 4 years? Because I doubt that, the Chinese have had a 30-year plan for near on 15 years now. I'm curious how the fact that the Biden administration is playing quote-unquote catch-up to catch up with them before they actually made this progress, if they hadn't been making this progress during... All right.
According to the Wall Street Journal, classified American intelligence reports suggest China intends to establish its first permanent military presence on the Atlantic Ocean in the tiny Central African country.
Well, they're trying. They've been trying for a long time. They were building a military base in the UAE at the port of Khalifa. They didn't start this year, but they were caught this year. Who caught them? Who was president last year And now who is president this year?
Of Equatorial Guinea, a threat that is setting off alarm bells at the White House.
Seeks first military base, a threat that's setting off alarm bells at the White House. You mean they give a shit?
Pentagon. Well, the alarm bells should have gone off, 20 years ago.
Oh, you mean when Bush was president? Yeah, we can go back and try Earth 2, where Gore actually won the election, and so therefore he was in office, and see if it turns out differently. But you do realize for the first 8 years of the time that you're talking about, where they started their plan, that what was that guy? He was a son of somebody. He was a son of something that ran the country.
Since trade opened between Red China and the West, the communist regime has grown richer and more powerful year after year.
Active military manpower. They allegedly have 1 billion people. Most of those guns are facing inward. For the record. Also, let's see. Hold on a second. I have to use secondary means to bring up some of my feed.
It now has the largest number of active military personnel in the world, with a 2.1 million troop size compared to our 1.4 million.
Yeah, they have allegedly 1 billion people. By the way, their ships suck, and we'll get started on that later. I mean, it's a great conversation.
By 2024, it's poised to have the biggest economy in the world.
No. Well, sorry. When's that from? Sorry, dum-dum. When was this? I have to, let's see. Maybe I'll go in here. I'm going to have to, this seems to be, there's something about this that, I'm sorry, what's that? Sorry, when was this projection? That's weird that you would, am I seeing that right? September 7th, 2014. Now, I know what you're thinking, Hal. They've clearly got to be still on track. I mean, nothing is economically wrong with China right now. Their entire real estate sector isn't collapsing like Japan in 89, 90. But there's probably more to this. Probably more to it.
Which has our elites, frankly, just licking their chops.
Our elites. First of all, don't say our elites licking their chops, and then lick your chops. Secondly, like Wall Street. China just bugged out of Wall Street largely, and Wall Street, but for BlackRock and a couple other people, are distancing themselves from China entirely. I don't know what the fuck she's hanging on to here.
CCP basically owns big business in America.
Oh, they do. I didn't realize that, guys. The CCP basically owns big business in America. I can't wait to see how. And by the way, then if that's true and this has been going on for 20 years, why the fuck didn't you guys have problems with quote unquote big business until the weakest, whitest, oldest president since Jimmy Carter took over? Right? Did you just not then give a fuck for 15 years or whatever?
Today, shocking new documents obtained by The Information detail a secret $275 billion deal struck 5 years ago between China and the Apple CEO, Tim Cook.
By himself?
Well, now we know why Cook became such a CCP apologist and how Apple recently became the top-selling smartphone in China.
Except for the copies of them. Most of the phones over there that are listed as iPhones or use iOS are from a company called Apple. Sounds a lot like Apple, doesn't it? Also, if that's the case, then this $275 billion deal, why is Apple moving chip manufacturing over here? This is a Foxconn issue, by the way. They're still, for the record, they're still pissed that Foxconn didn't build a factory over here during Trump. That's what this is about.
The company owes much of that success to CEO Tim Cook, who laid the foundation years ago by secretly signing an agreement with Chinese officials promising Apple would do its part to develop China's economy and technological prowess through investments, business deals, and worker training.
Oh, yeah. You mean right about the time everybody was complaining about suicides at Foxconn facilities and that Apple was participating in what a lot of people viewed as slave labor, so they decided to do this big PR push worldwide about how they were going to invest in the people around China and the factories there because that was their full-on investment. And now they're leaving China, and and the Chinese are leaking this basically to push back?
Anything else? Well, that's not all the CCP got from Cook, who has a huge influence operation in Washington. Apple lobbied to water down key provisions of an anti-Chinese slave labor bill, which would hold U.S. companies accountable for using Uyghur...
Water down key provisions of an anti-Chinese slave labor bill. Were the key provisions part of the Uyghur bill, or did Ted Cruz throw stuff in to try and water it down so that they'd pull the bill entirely? This is curious, though. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. Now, we definitely want to be on Apple about, the quality of their factories and the treatment of their workers. That said, Washington Post, wanting those things and knowing about those things and caring about those things is not the same as taking Laura Ingram's word for what what an article says. Apple is lobbying. Hold on. Also, it should not be lost on you that when it suits her, Laura Ingraham is citing the Washington Post as a valued and trusted news source. Okay, it should get the article there. Man, this is slow back here. Don't know why there's no stars up in the sky. Stormy weather. All right, this is going to be too slow. I'm going to have to find it on something else. Hold on. So we go back to my scene. Pop back to me. Hi, everybody. There you are. And then we go over to here. We go to Washington. Whoops. I can type. Washington Post. Apple is lobbying. Washington Post. Apple lobbies against... Here it is. This is the article. 1 second. Get out of here. I don't need an ad for Johnson & Johnson. Move. There we go. This is the article she's citing. Now, again... Whoop. Here we go. Apple is lobbying against a bill aimed at stopping forced labor in China. Apple wants to water down key provisions of the bill which would hold U.S. companies accountable for using Uyghur forced labor, according to 2 congressional staffers. Okay. Apple lobbyists are trying to weaken a bill aimed at preventing forced labor in China, according to 2 congressional staffers familiar with the matter, highlighting the clash between its business imperatives and its official stance on human rights. Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act would require U.S. companies to guarantee they do not use imprisoned or coerced workers from a predominantly Muslim region of Xinjiang, where academic researchers estimate the Chinese government has placed more than 1 million people in internment camps. Okay, the staffers, who spoke on condition of anonymity because the talks with the company took place in private meetings, said Apple was one of many U.S. companies that opposed the bill as it's written. They declined to disclose details on the specific provisions Apple was trying to knock down or change because they feared providing that knowledge would identify them to Apple. But they both characterized Apple's effort as an attempt to water down the bill. What Apple would like is we all just sit and talk and not have any real consequences, says Kathy Feingold, director of International Department of AFL-CIO. They're shocked because it's the first time where there could be some actual effective enforceability. Apple spokesperson said it's dedicated to ensuring supply chain, dignity, and respect. We abhor forced labor. We share the committee's goal of eradicating forced labor and strengthening U.S. law, and we will continue to work with them to achieve that. He said the company earlier this year conducted a detailed investigation with our suppliers in China, found no evidence of forced labor on Apple production lines, and we are continuing to monitor this closely. Apple's lobbying firm, Fierce Government Relations, really, disclosed that it was lobbying on the bill on behalf of Apple in a disclosure form, and that was reported by The Information. However, the form did not say whether Apple was for or against the bill or whether it wanted to modify it in any way. Lobbying disclosure firms do not require that. Okay. Apple said publicly Apple does not tolerate forced labor in its supply chain. Forced labor is abhorrent. We would not tolerate Apple terminate a supplier relationship if it were found. The new bill would make it more difficult for U.S. companies to ignore abuses taking place in China and give the U.S. authorities more power to enforce the law. One provision of the bill requires public companies to certify to the Securities and Exchange Commission that their products are not made using forced labor from Xinjiang. If companies are found to have used forced labor, they could be prosecuted for securities violations, okay? While the U.S. law prevents companies from importing goods that were made using forced labor, the law is seldom enforced, and it's difficult to prove U.S. companies know about the use of forced labor. Passed 406-3 in the House in September. People involved in the legislation said the apparel industry is caught off guard by how quickly it passed without much lobbying. Now that the bill sponsored by Rubio and McGovern is in front of the U.S. Senate, corporations have made more of a concerted effort to shape it in part to blunt some of its sharper provisions, according to two congressional staffers. Some companies have lobbied to have their names removed from the bill. They say because it calls out specific brands like Patagonia, Coca-Cola, and Costco for allegedly using forced labor from the region. It does not name Apple. Patagonia, Coca-Cola, and Costco did not respond to requests for comment. That's weird. They're name dropped in the bill and accused of this slave labor, using slave labor from that. But this article is not Patagonia, Coca-Cola, and Costco named in bill they tried to water down. It goes after Apple specifically. That I find curious. The bill is primarily focused on textiles and other low-tech industries. For instance, Xinjiang sugar has made its way into Coca-Cola, and tomatoes have been used in Heinz ketchup, according to Human Rights Report. I don't know why they didn't mention cotton, but that's a major one as well. That's why the apparel industry is upset. The apparel industry is not upset because their shirts are made of tomatoes or sugar. Most firms have stopped auditing in Xinjiang because of limitations placed by the Chinese government. Complying with the new bill would be costly to companies, especially in the textile industry, where cotton gets woven into garments around the world, making it difficult and expensive to trace. Yeah, they've been hiding it. They do it under the table. The SEC portion of the bill echoes a provision in the Dodd-Frank Act that requires companies to notify the government if their product contains conflict minerals from the Congo. That provision of the Dodd-Frank Act has created headaches for companies that import gold. Companies are concerned that the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act could create similar problems, according to the lawmakers. Because China has transferred Uyghur Muslims out of Xinjiang to work in other parts of the country, human rights advocates say it may be difficult for any U.S. company operating in China to ensure it isn't benefiting even indirectly from forced labor. Okay, so that's what they're worried about. How far did we get down in this? 8, usually we'll get in there by 3. That would be part of it. Okay, Xinjiang, which borders Pakistan and Afghanistan, was conquered by China in the 1700s, and the Turkic Muslims who lived there have long fought against Chinese rule. They act like this is, the Washington Post acts like that's something that everybody talks about all the time. But in recent years, Chinese government has been cracking down on Muslims, aided by advanced surveillance technology, such as and Snoopy neighbors. They're also trying to breed them out with Han Chinese. If we weren't talking about ethnically Asian people, that would get equated with Hitler like crazy. With an estimated 1 million to 2 million people placed in camps, human rights groups have called the situation cultural genocide. Agreed. And by the way, good old-fashioned physical genocide as well. Disputed the characterization of the program as camps, saying they were vocational training centers that you can't leave and you sleep in. They said they were going to end it in December 2019, which they didn't because everybody graduated. While it's unknown how much electronics manufacturing occurs in the region, some human rights groups believe there are plants that make electronic components in Xinjiang, and private companies, which act as brokers for Xinjiang laborers, have arranged for workers to be transferred from concentration camps to electric factories outside of Xinjiang, according to human rights reports. So that's the hard part. I don't know if they're trying to water that part down or clarify the language. Because if they bring people down from Xinjiang and use them as slave labor, but the people in like Shenzhen don't know the business is there, I mean, but in general, it's just time to get out, kids. 4 alleged instances connected to Apple's supply. Okay, here we go. A March report from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute identified 4 alleged instances in which labor from the Xinjiang region has been connected to Apple's supply chain. The report alleges that the workers were likely to have been forced or coerced, but it did not offer proof confirming the work terms and conditions. Apple products include thousands of components that are made by suppliers around the world. They also have a lot of clothing and other shit that they use. That they sell bags and covers and, things that aren't part of the electronics. The company has a supplier code of conduct, says it assessed 1,142 suppliers, that is a lot, in 49 countries in 2019, ensuring that good labor conditions are upheld. Apple publishes an annual progress report. Workplace rights are human rights, Okay, the Australian report alleges that in 2017, Chinese government transferred between 1,000 and 2,000 Uyghurs to work at a factory owned by O-Film, which helps make the selfie cameras for Apple's iPhone. Apple's Cook publicized his visit to an O-Film factory in December 2017, posing in a photo in front of a microscope on the factory floor wearing a blue clean room jumpsuit, getting a closer look at the remarkable precision work that goes into manufacturing the selfie cameras for the iPhone 8 and iPhone 10 at O-Film, Cook wrote on the Chinese social networking site Weibo. O-Film also supplies other American companies like Dell, HP, Amazon, General Motors. According to the report, Amazon chief executive and founder Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. They have to tell you that. Dell lead, Amazon denounced it, forced labor on their website. General Motors, in its sustainability report, said it investigated the allegations, ended its relationship with the supplier. That's good. Good for you. Way to go, General Motors. A Chinese newspaper article from 2017 covered the transfer of Uyghur labor to the O-Film factory. The article put a positive spin on the story, referring to alleged forced laborers as urban and rural surplus laborers. That doesn't sound creepy at all. The Australian report, citing a local government document from September 2019, alleges that 560 Xinjiang laborers were transferred to the Henan province and that some of those workers ended up in Foxconn's Zhengzhou factory, otherwise known as iPhone City, where half of Apple's flagship products are assembled. Report cites a 2018 speech by Chinese government officials announcing the transfer work. Okay, so the only way out of this is out of the Chinese factories for Apple in general, because they can have all the standards they want and say we care about forced labor and the like, but the Chinese government, which is part owner in Foxconn and every other company in the country, is eventually going to set them, they're going to use people under the table anyways. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, so this is, but like to water down key provisions, this is the idea that Apple is the only one trying to water it down. Other companies are as well, and nothing is mentioning the companies that were in there. Okay.
Forced labor. Now, most American billionaires dismiss criticisms of China, using words like how it's counterproductive and destabilizing to do so. And sometimes it's hard to tell the American elite from Chinese top propagandists.
It's hard to tell Fox hosts from top Chinese propagandists. I mean, only top Chinese propagandists would put up an article from 2014 that says China's going to overtake our economy in 2 years.
Enter investor Ray Dalio.
I look at the United States and I say, well, what's going on in the United States? And should I not invest in the United States because other things and not our own human rights issues? What they have is an autocratic system. And one of the leaders described it. He said that the United States is a country of individuals and individualism. In China, it's an extension of the family. As a top-down country, what they're doing is they behave like a strict parent.
Hold on. Play the whole fucking clip from this dude. You play him stammering in the beginning of this, and now we're going to saw sentences together?
Yeah, just like the strict parent.
What the fuck was that? How? Look at the cuts in this thing.
Investor Ray Dalio.
I look at the United States and I say, well, what's going on in the United States? And should I not invest in the United States because other things and not our own human rights issues? What they have is an autocratic system. And one of the leaders described it. He said that the United States is a country of individuals and individualism. In China, it's an extension of the family. As a top-down country, what they're doing is they behave like a strict parent.
Like, seriously, stitching, that's supposed to be one fucking sentence?
Yeah, just like the strict parent. That's what they say they are. Now, he tried later to walk it back, but you can't walk back those remarks.
Well, especially after they've been sliced and diced like you did and made into something wholly different. Who gives it? What? And by the way, why is this dictatorial towards what the White House thinks? You don't think... Does anyone think that I couldn't go down to Wall Street with a microphone and find someone down there that will defend almost anything in another country and denigrate anything in this one, or denigrate something in any other country, or defend anything in this one? For real. 666, yay! We're at 666 in the chat. If you feel moved, please super chat today. I'm investing in making this area better, this version of the show, so that when I'm in LA, it's a little higher quality.
We know exactly what he said and why he said it.
Bitch, I don't know what the fuck he said. You cut it together. Play the whole thing.
His hedge fund just raised $1.25 billion for its China fund. Can't let a few 100,000 people being tortured in camps get in the way of that win.
Yeah. Now go after the NBA and go after the Wall Street Journal.
But it's one thing to buy off Wall Street.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it basically is. Big business in U.S. sold out to China years ago. That's the title of this one. This is what she said. Big business in the U.S. sold out to China years ago. Just in case you're... I got more room to move. There we go. My big old dome. Hold on. Hi. Hi, Laura. How are you? Boink, boink. I should just put myself up here, since she probably considers me a collaborator. I'll just put myself there in the corner. What do you think? By the way, anybody who watched my morning show the other day, where I was talking about my trip to China, I think it's abundantly clear that if she says anything about China and I say she's full of shit, I think you can feel safe to roll with my assessment.
Makers, after all, their allegiance is to their investors and stockholders. Ugh. What's truly disturbing is the spell the CCP has cast on our political class.
Dun, dun, dun. The spell. I think part of the spell was COVID. That's what did it.
Just months ago.
Oh, now I can't. I got to move myself out of the way because that's where all the little articles. Just months ago, what? Bush family nonprofits $5 million deal with China influence group. I'm beginning to think you have a bone to pick with the early 2000s Republicans.
Learned that a Chinese front group called the China-United States Exchange Foundation handed $5 million to a foundation that was founded by George H.W. Bush's son, Neil Bush. Axios reported back in June that the funding was meant to bolster the...
Sorry, is this before or after he helped stage 9/11? I'm so confused. All right.
China Foundation's efforts to promote a bilateral relationship that is functional, constructive, commercially robust, mutually beneficial, and politically sustainable.
Yeah, they're dumping money to try and look nice. Yes. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, when Trump shows up at a charity and pretends that he actually gives a shit.
Now, this isn't surprising, given the Bush's overly optimistic and warm relationship with China. George W. Bush is the one, remember, who granted permanent normal trading relations with China back in 2001.
See, I thought this was, I thought Hillary did this using Obama as a sock puppet, and they just ricocheted through Biden.
And how's that worked out for us? Well,
shit. I don't know what the fuck she was doing. I was waiting for a clip too, Laura.
Trading relations with China back in 2001. And how's that worked out?
I don't know. Were you expecting an answer? They don't. What happened there? Did she just have a brain fart, or was she just waiting? She couldn't riff It seems like the same person who runs the teleprompter on Sean Hannity's show now runs it on hers.
And how's that worked out for us? Well,
honest to God.
Trading relations with China back in 2001. And how's that?
I don't know. I feel like during that time we could have reset our entire relationship with China. What the fuck? She's glitching. She's glitching. By the way, if what do you want to bet that if Biden was reading a teleprompter and he had a break like this?
Permanent normal trading relations with China back in 2001. And how's that worked out for us? Well, of course it hasn't worked out for us.
Sorry.
About as well as the war in Afghanistan.
Hold on.
But to be fair, every
Wait. I was trying to see how much time I could fit. Hold on.
And how's...
Hold on. So I got to go back further.
Permanent normal trading relations with China back in 2001. And how's that worked out for us? Well, of course it hasn't worked out for us.
That's funny. Oh, quit it. Go back where I was.
About as well.
The sound effects on this thing don't work quite as well. Sorry. I feel like how long is this shit?
One. And how's that work?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. How is that working out? Sorry.
Back in 2001. And how's that worked out for us?
Not well. Sorry. Oh shit. Jumped out ahead of this. Hold on.
WCPT has cast on our political class. Just months ago,
yeah, we saw this.
Handed $5 million.
Yeah, we saw that. Hold on.
That is functional, constructive. Now, this isn't surprising. George W. Bush is...
Sorry. Usually when I freeze on something like this, we have a
and
we usually have like a Howard. Oh, thanks, Amy. I'm trying. This is a whole different setup.
That worked out for us. Well, of course it hasn't worked out for us. About as well as the war in
honest to God, can't this happen on a day when I'm home with all my regular sound effects? This is terrible. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, see it in here. Don't let him give you any shit, lady. You're doing great. You're doing so great. You're pretty. Oh, man, if the other end of you looked anything like the front, I'd turn you back around. I'd hit you from the side. I mean that in a loving and supportive way, of course. Just for the record.
Afghanistan. But to be fair, every president except Trump misunderstood China's ambitions.
No, yeah, Trump understood their ambitions. That's why he sold all our corn, pork, and beans and beef and chewing tobacco and corduroys to them and then made that great trade deal, a third of it. But you know what I mean. He did great.
He chose to look past their brutal crackdown on human rights. Now, given this sordid history...
He did?
No one should be surprised that so few were willing to deny President Xi and his global propaganda victory in hosting the Winter Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I bet you anything that you're going to see, Biden's probably going to send all his diplomats over, every last one of them, and he's going to make other countries do it too. He's going to force them to do it like the New World Order. I have a New World Order right now. I think it's coming from my feet. Sorry. Okay. Get back to
For the most part, elites in both parties just don't care.
Yeah, just elites. Elites, she says, while wearing one of Marie Antoinette's doilies as a dress.
Is a diplomatic boycott enough, given the human rights abuses?
Well, let me first say, everybody can call it whatever they want to call it. I would just remind you that often when you use diplomatic boycott, that phrase, that brings people back to 1980, and we are not. The athletes will be participating. We will be rooting for the athletes from home. I am an Olympics-obsessed person, so I'm looking forward to doing that. We felt that we could send a clear message by not sending an official U.S. delegation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely not like 1980, because in 1980, Russia's economy is nowhere proportionally to where China's economy is.
Yeah, but they had nukes pointed at us, fucko. Secondly, Fox is going to cover it. I mean, unless she's about to announce that Fox will not be covering the Olympics.
Giant. It's ridiculous. Well, Xi, of course, is watching all these Biden bozos, and he's just laughing.
Is he? Is he just laughing? He's got to be just laughing. That's what he does all the time, right? Isn't that what we hear all the time? He's constantly laughing at us? That's it, right, guys? Hold on, let me check. Let's see. Maybe I'll just look up Xi Olympics laughing. One second. Oh, that's another one, sorry. One moment, please. Just looking for something on here. U.S. diplomatic. Yeah. All right, here you go. What says laughing more than, get out of here. Get these ads out of the way. There's so much of the page used up on this thing. Gee whiz. Okay, let me drag this down a little bit. That'll do it. There you go. China threatens the U.S. with retaliation over diplomatic boycott of Winter Olympics. Yeah, that sounds like laughing. Obviously, he's in on the joke, and it's not upsetting at all. China's threatened the Biden administration with retaliation over its decision to impose a diplomatic boycott on the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, warning the move could harm bilateral relations. Let's see. Responding to a White House announcement, China's foreign minister said it had launched solemn representation within the U.S. and vowed to take resolute countermeasures. Sounds like laughing. Out of ideological bias and based on lies and rumors, the U.S. is trying to disrupt the Beijing Winter Olympics. This will only expose its sinister intention and further erode its moral authority and credibility. I'm surprised he was able to say that without laughing. That's amazing. The wrong move of the U.S. has undermined the foundation atmosphere for the China-U.S. sports exchanges and Olympic cooperation. It has shot itself in the foot. The U.S. should understand the grave consequences of its move. Grave consequences. How dare you not send people to our... Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Laughing. American leaders too scared to go after China. Right. Okay.
As if he cares if Kamala Harris or some assistant secretary of state shows up to watch, the curling?
That's a Canadian sport, and we support our brothers and sisters to the north.
What the CCP wants is a world where almost everyone is afraid to criticize President Xi.
One of the ways you criticize the Chinese is not giving them face, which is not showing up. But, of course, Trump would fall over himself to give Xi a rusty trombone every time he wanted to go there.
Murderous, genocidal policies.
Which, by the way, is that new? Did that shit happen during... Did that start in the last 10 months?
Here on Fox News, you can still hear commentators who are willing to tell the truth about China.
No. You can hear commentators who are willing to kiss China's ass and boost them in areas they do not deserve it, like saying that their leader is laughing at us when he's clearly freaking out, by saying their economy is going to overtake ours using old articles on their economy from over about a decade ago, when the reality on the ground has proven totally upside down from those original predictions, and including the idea the idea that Apple and all these folks support the Uyghurs and yet at the same time use their slave labor as an indicator that the elites in America suck and have no moral high ground over Chinese people, over the Chinese companies or the Chinese government in this term, at the denigration of the Chinese people themselves. This is a Chinese propaganda piece, what you are watching right now. What Laura Ingraham is doing is acting as a political voice box for the CCP.
But how many Fortune 500 companies are going to let their officers tell the truth? How many universities, flush with Chinese cash, would allow their professors or administrators to really expose the CCP's ruthless past, present, and future plans?
I don't know. Why didn't you ask that during the last 4 years when the guy you liked was busy selling them all of our pork, corn, and soybeans while Americans were in food lines?
What about the NBA or other major American sports leagues? Where's Hollywood's epic takedown of Mao?
Hollywood's epic takedown of Mao? Oh, I see. Yeah. So, in case you can't figure it out, what she's upset about is that we keep picking on Hitler. Every time you turn around, it's time for Mel Brooks to knock the Nazis. And, why do you always got to knock the Nazis? I don't know. I think they're rude. I guess.
You ever see, I don't know, a James Bond-like character go up against the CCP?
Yeah?
Well, I think we all know the answer, right?
Yeah?
Even our own Secretary of Defense is afraid to tell the truth about China.
China presents a challenge. It's our pacing challenge, but they're not 10 feet tall. Challenge. It's our pacing challenge, but they're not 10 feet tall.
Oh my God. What a stupid comment.
No, they are 10 feet tall. Oh my God, they're so big. Oh my God, they have so many people. Oh my God, all their boats are magnificent. Oh my God, have you not tasted their military leaders' pre-spooge? I mean, honestly, it's amazing. How can you even say that? How can you not say that the greatest military on earth? Why are you not filleting the Chinese right now?
Every day, the message spreads. If you criticize China, it can hurt your career.
He just said they're not 10 feet tall. He just said we got to deal with them, but they're not that scary. He's actually speaking realistically.
You can criticize the Catholic Church, evangelical Christians, the United States, can tear down statues, melt them down, spread anti-American propaganda, all you want, but do not criticize China.
He did. You're not. You're the one saying that they're gigantic, insurmountable. They're going to beat our economy because they've got Apple in their pocket, right? It's done deal. 2024, right?
As more Americans are silenced or just self-censor, we'll soon realize that the whole notion of free speech here becomes meaningless, just like President Xi wants. This is the real crisis of American democracy. The Constitution...
What? The fuck are you talking about? Guys, we're going to have to, if she wants us to, we're going to have to shred the Constitution. I know you think you have free speech. I know you think you can talk shit all day long on the internet, but that's not true. Eventually, China is 10 feet tall, and Xi Jinping is coming for you.
Prevents Americans from accepting titles of nobility from foreign governments. Because the founders wanted Americans, including our elites, to be loyal to this country. But the CCP doesn't need to use titles. It has enough money to bribe almost anyone it wants.
No. they're broke as fuck right now. If it had, this might have been true like a fucking decade ago. By the way, I think you guys need to put up more blocks on your screen at the end of your videos. It certainly makes me more apt to really, I need to dive into this. It's quality. It looks great. It doesn't look at all like 3 buildings in Hong Kong fell into each other. Hold on, let me see if she... And that's the angle.
American collaborators are the cheapest dates around.
Well, then why do they need all that money? Hold on. All right, now we got to dive into this horse shit a little bit. Hold on one second. Can I just show you... Okay, what did you actually hear in that? One is the Chinese military is enormous. It's bigger than ours. They have more people than ours. And they're outpacing us militarily. You heard that, right? They are 10 feet tall is her argument. And they have more money than anybody, and they're going to overtake our economy, and they've got enough money to buy anybody, and you cannot criticize them. Let's see. Let's see the... You're gonna miss this. Let's say to get a little broader than this. Chinese economy. Let's see. Let's jump. Here's I'm gonna get busted by Reuters for borrowing the shot again on this. China Evergrande shares hit new low amid debt crisis. Scroll up, you silly. The ads at the top of these pages. Annoying. Kaiser misses pay date. That's another real estate company. Hopes of debt restructuring keep floor under Evergrande shares. They're at $1.89 right now. Last I looked, Evergrande has not yet. They were worth like $70 at one point. Evergrande has not yet confirmed the default. Market will want to wait and see, but not give up yet, says analysts. Trading in shares of Kaiser suspended. China Evergrande Group shares hit a record low on Wednesday after a missed debt payment deadline put the developer at risk for becoming the country's biggest defaulter, even as hopes of a management debt restructuring calmed fears of a messy collapse. For the record, the payments that they say have been made have not been made. I don't know where the news got off saying a couple of weeks ago that they hit their deadline. They didn't. None of the money went out that night. They were supposed to transfer millions of dollars into bank accounts. It didn't fucking happen. So far, any Evergrande fallout has been broadly contained, with the policymakers becoming more vocal and markets more familiar with the issue. Consequences of its troubles less likely to be widely felt, market watchers have said. That's because China is basically cutting itself off from the rest of the world's economy. Failure by Evergrande to make $82.5 million in interest payments due November 6 on some U.S. dollar bonds would trigger cross default on roughly its $19 billion of international bonds, with possible ramifications on China's economy and beyond. With the 30-day grace period is over, while the 30-day grace period is over, Evergrande has not announced if the bonds have formally defaulted. That's nice. They haven't paid the money. They've missed the deadline twice, but they haven't formally said it. Developer did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. We just heard their window open and a long scream. Without the official announcement, the market will want to wait and see and not give up yet. Jesus Christ. Stephen Leung, director of UOB Kay Hian in Hong Kong, said. The market also wants to wait and see what can be done with local governments stepping in now. The local government's in more debt than the company is. Evergrande was once China's top property developer with more than 1,300 real estate projects with $300 billion of liabilities. It is now at the heart of a property crisis in China this year that has crushed almost a dozen smaller firms. Trading in shares of the embattled smaller peer Kaiser Group was suspended on Wednesday. That's today. After a source with direct knowledge of the matter said it was unlikely to meet its $400 million offshore debt deadline on Tuesday. They didn't. They declined to comment. Nobody's fucking commenting. You guys just hang in there. Hang in there, guys. Just keep, you'll get paid. Just hang out. Don't start offloading your shares like crazy. Jesus. Shares hit record low. This is bigger than Lehman Brothers, but it's internal to China. I mean, the level of insanity in this. Let's see. Chinese economic growth 2021. What are we hitting? What do we got there, kids? China's economy stumbles on power crunch property woes. See, guys, that's Laura was right. That's why Xi Jinping is laughing. He's losing his mind. That's why. China Q3 GDP grows 4.9% year over year versus the 5.2% forecast, which is a practical 1.6. September factory output growth weakest since March of 2020. Property construction extends declines. Nobody is buying new houses, and without the selling of new houses, none of those property companies have anything to sell. Policy measures to boost equality impact growth. That's Xi Jinping's plan. That's that little sentence right there. Yeah. China's economy hit its slowest pace of growth in a year in the third quarter, hurt by power shortages and wobbles in the property sector, highlighting the challenge facing policymakers as they seek to prop up a faltering recovery while reining in the real estate sector. Gross domestic product expanded 4.9% from a year ago, missing forecast. From a year ago, when everything took a shit. Imagine being up 4.9% from your absolute bottom. That's not up 4.9%. That's still underwater like 8%. Missing forecasts as attempts by Beijing to curb lending to the property sector exacerbated the fallout from electricity shortages, which sent factory output back to levels last seen in early 2020 when heavy COVID-19 curbs were in place. When literally the factories are operating at the same pace they were when everybody left the floor, dropped what they were doing, and left. The world's second largest economy had staged an impressive rebound from last year's pandemic slump, but the recovery has lost steam from a blistering 18.3% growth clocked in the first quarter, which is just the shit that was laying there when they left. Under President Xi Jinping, a drive to make structural changes that address long-term risks and distortions, which just means real estate. He doesn't believe people should be able to invest in real estate. It's the only thing they can invest in over there. Analysts at Barclays cut their fourth quarter forecast by 1.2% to 3.5%. On the disappointing data, analysts from ANZ cut their forecast for China's 2021 GDP growth from 8%, cut their forecast for China's GDP growth from 8% from 8.3%. Policymakers will now have to balance the impact of those structural challenges with steps that will shield the economy. You have to understand, in a country with that many people, wink, wink, you need something like 8% or 8.3% growth all the time just to keep up with like births. In response to the ugly growth numbers we expect in the coming months, that sounds good. He'd be laughing. Why wouldn't you just laugh more? Oh, you can laugh. Oh, the fun we have. In response to the ugly growth numbers we expect in coming months, Reuters poll analysts expected GDP to rise 5.2% in the third quarter. The weak numbers sent the yuan and most Asian stock markets lower amid broader investor concerns about the world economic recovery. Yeah, that's what they're worried about. They're worried about the rest of the world. In Europe, China exposed luxury stocks, including LVMH, Kering, and Hermes, fell about 3% each. What was that, about 0.3% reduction in growth? Also hurt by Xi's call for an expansion of consumption tax. They're basically, this is them doing what we're doing about like taxing the rich, and they're just going to like take it right out of their accounts. China's still a avowedly socialist country. No, a communist country has pledged to reduce inequality after years of breakneck growth. All nonsense. Basically, it's to cover the fact that they let the real estate market just lose its goddamn mind. Yeah. So, anyways, but Ingram and those guys want you to think that the sun is shining out of China's ass and Xi's ass right now, and that the CCP has got a stranglehold on everybody, and it's just friggin' garbage. And what's especially telling is their lack of give a shit about anybody that doesn't advertise on their channel. So, all right, next up. Rudy Giuliani on Newsmax with Rob Schmidt. The audacity. Rudy Giuliani reads, quote, the new Biden anti-corruption plan. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows why they would bring him on to do this other than just they're trying to like pull an irony muscle.
All right, welcome back to Rob Schmidt tonight. The president, Mr. 10% for the big guy, unveiling a 38-page anti-corruption strategy, kicking off a week of policy initiatives to fight corruption.
Oh, right. Well, it sounds like you'd be for it to guarantee there wouldn't be any shenanigans.
As a core national security interest. Oh, how ironic. No word yet on how this will affect the Hunter Biden playbook on how to use your dad's name to get rich and get your family filthy rich as well.
Yeah, how many houses does Biden have? How many houses does Bernie Sanders have? How many houses does Donald Trump have? He lives in his golf course like a weirdo.
Remember that picture, playing golf with some of the guys from the Ukrainian gas company, right? Later this week, about 110 countries will participate in a summit for democracy, aiming to take up corruption as a core national security interest.
You're always trying to make yourself better, to lead better, to push other countries to be better, and this is an opportunity to do exactly that.
So let's make it better. Shortly after that statement, Psaki was questioned about Hunter's recent divestment from a Chinese firm, as well as the new book, Laptop from Hell, debunking earlier claims that content from his laptop was just a Russian disinformation effort. And, well, Jen Psaki, of course, didn't like that question at all.
Oh, the book, you mean? The book about the non-existent Hunter Biden laptop, which doesn't exist? Show me the fucking laptop.
The president's son is not an employee of the federal government, so I'd point you to his representatives. And as it relates to the book, I've neither had the time nor interest in exploring or reading the book.
Yeah, why would you care if your boss is corrupt and his son collects money and pays him off for doing his job in the federal government? Why would anybody care about that?
Well, because it's not true, actually. What fucking laptop? Rob, you had the woman. Rob, you had the woman who did the book on Newsmax. She was there in studio. Why didn't she show you a picture of the laptop, Rob? She wrote a whole fucking book on it. Where's the picture? Where's the metadata from the pages in there? Where is the metadata from the photos included in the book? Here's a good idea, and here's how I would do it. And follow me on this, kids, if you would, if you don't mind. Let's say I was doing a news story about a series of photos found on someone's phone, right? The pictures are on their phone, and I wanted to prove that those pictures came from that phone in a printed form, because you got to take my word for it to some degree. I have to put a checkable fact next to it. So what I would do, especially if I had some friends who knew anything about making picture books. I'm sure there's someone you can call who has one out right now. I would take this picture. Hold on one second. I would take this book, and I would take in the middle of it, where all the pictures are in some of these like historical books. Well, I don't know why I'm looking over there. The camera's right here. My circle light is over here because I had to move it, so I keep thinking the camera's behind it. I would take the picture, put it in the book, nice laminated, or I think a matte finish. That's quality. Really as high a quality as I can on the printed page, fitting it all in there. Instagram, it's going to be a square, but if it was a regular portrait style, I put it long ways so you can just turn the book sideways, maybe a little fold out. But on the back of that page, I would have the metadata from the photo written on the opposite side of the page. You can go, see this picture? This picture was taken on this date and by these people with this longitude and latitude, uploaded on here. That's what I would fucking do. Now, sorry, I was just doing a Laura Ingraham pause. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, do you think that would be hard to do? Do you think that would be easy to do? Would it be complicated? Would there be someone at a printing company, at a publishing house, that might be able to show you how that's done?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Hold on. Siri thought I was talking to her.
Such a stupid question. Why even?
Yeah, but it's just a stupid question.
Ask. He's not even an employee of the federal government, and of course the media. Oh yeah, well that makes sense. Why would we ever talk about this?
Well, no, we've been talking about it for over a year, and it's been bullshit the entire time. And just because some asshole wrote a tabloid book based on fuck all doesn't mean we have to keep taking it seriously, because you guys won't let it go, because you're trying to hide behind the fact that Trump hung out with his dick out around Epstein dozens of times.
A walking contradiction, and almost nobody in our press cares, but some people do. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joins us now to talk about this.
And former lawyer, I think. Or is he? I mean, I guess he's probably still certified someplace. He's certifiable, I suppose.
We're good to see you again. The audacity of Joe Biden to make countering corruption a top priority. The irony is not lost on me.
I'm reading this, and of course, I know this for 2.5 years. And he fits every category here.
Hey, fucko. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you got Rudy Giuliani right here. What more could you ask for? Rudy, here's an idea. You are in your office right now. Show Rob the Hunter Biden laptop. Pick it up. Hold it up. I'm sorry, Rudy's over here. Rudy, show it to Rob. I always get you guys mixed up because you have the same teeth. Rudy, find the Hunter Biden laptop. It's got to be around nearby. It's got to be on your desk. Maybe it's on the shelf behind you. I don't know why anybody. Can you think of a reason why, if you had based your entire campaign that you were working on, pushing back against your opponent on the laptop, you'd think you might have it. You might just hold it up. Here it is. Here's the Hunter Biden laptop. Here it is. Take a look. Here's the sticker on the front that says Beau Biden Foundation right on the front of it. That's how they spotted it. They stopped selling the Beau Biden Foundation stickers probably, and now you can't buy one. And if you print one up, it won't match the other ones. So you can't put that on and then score the front of it to make it look like one. I don't know. Yeah. I have the laptop here. I'm talking about it. We're making all these accusations, but I can't show it to you.
Do you know he was a laughing stock in Ukraine when he'd go there? Because he'd give talks every once in a while on corruption. And the oligarchs and others in Ukraine used to say, he's more corrupt than we are.
So, let me get this straight. Rudy, when you were talking to the corrupt oligarchs, they would tell you they laughed at Biden while they were talking to you while you were making energy deals in Ukraine under the table while Trump had sent you over there to buy compromat and you failed.
And he's lecturing us on corruption. Remember, you said 10% for the big guy. That's true for one deal.
Oops.
But most of the deals, it was 50% for the big guy, based on the text that Hunter sent to his daughter on January 2nd.
Dude, this is the same shit. You're going to tell us about the same... You've got a whole fucking hard drive, allegedly, from... and again, he just said... did he just say hard drive? Did he just slip?
On the text that Hunter sent to...
Hold on.
You said 10% for the big guy. That's true for one deal.
Yeah.
But most of the deals, it was 50% for the big guy, based on the text that Hunter sent to his daughter on January 2nd, 2019, in which he says, when you take over, you should realize I pay all the expenses for the family.
That's not what he said. And actually, you have allegedly a printout of it. We've never seen the actual text. We've seen the printouts of the text, the little bubbles that you sent to the New York Post that they allegedly confirmed because they got it from you, which came off of a hard drive that was never in a laptop that you bought in Ukraine. So you're quoting something that you printed out yourself. It's enough for anybody. He's a trustworthy guy. And that the idea that Hunter, because he was a drug addict, his family was taking 50% of his income and holding it for him during that period when that's what he's talking about. That text may have been on his phone when it was hacked while he was in Russia, and then put on the hard drive later. We've been over this.
So that's hiding money in real estate, which is what he talked about here.
Right.
They also laundered
hiding money in real estate. The fuck are you talking about? The Bidens own a house. Oh, you mean because they're going after Trump because of the money that they're hiding because of the house he bought for for $20 million and sold for $90
million payments. Joe got $900,000 for one of them, and that's directly in the communiques from the government of Latvia. There's also the Ukrainian prosecutor.
Pull him up, buddy. Rob will wait. Pull him up on the screen.
For 5 years, I've been trying to get their hands on a offshore bank account that the Treasury Department is blocking. And he fits every criteria here. And of course, 50% of everything Biden's son earned.
Wait, so the Treasury Department was blocking things, an account that's allegedly associated with Biden during the Trump years? That's probably deep state.
So that's one of the things they talk about here, not laundering payments, not disguising payments. The laundered payments went through 4 countries.
Yeah.
And were described as loans until they actually went into the company's account.
You know, based off the text and
the... Hold up some paper, Rudy. You talking out of your ass, son. You can't just quote Facebook and then go, I don't have time to run down any of these facts and see if they're true.
Pictures, the emails from the laptop. Obviously Miranda.
What laptop?
Has got the new book out.
Yeah, she doesn't have the laptop though, does she?
That Hunter was deeply embedded in the inner sanctum of Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin as well. Quote, Hunter.
Yeah, totally. That's why they couldn't wait to get a Democrat in the White House when Hillary was in there.
Biden was rollicking around the world in hot spots like Monte Carlo, Lake Como, with corrupt oligarchs who were showering him with money and diamonds and favors.
Well, nobody could write those words in a salacious book and sell it. Wait, those words were in that order? Dear God. Case closed.
And it's amazing.
Your Honor, I moved right to the sentencing phase.
To me, to see that this president and his family have turned out to be everything that they told us that Trump was. You're talking about the Russians, you're talking about the Chinese.
Well, no, I mean, they don't golf nearly enough. Also, I don't know that, I have to be honest, I've been a little busy lately. Has Biden had a grab him by the pussy tape come out yet?
And yet there's just no interest in the story. And I mean, I know we talk about this so often, but it's just so unbelievable to me that nobody cares.
Well, yes, nobody cares, Rob. It's first of all, everybody knows it's a lie, so it's a waste of fucking time. They know you're chasing a cat up a tree, and it's even if you catch it, it's not a good pet. And you're bringing people on like Rudy Giuliani, who admitted to lying about the facts that he was claiming about election interference because he read them on Facebook and he doesn't have time to go and look at the details on stuff. And he's your source. This asshole is your primary source.
Particularly right now with him sitting down with Putin, he got a minimum of $3.5 million from Moscow.
From Moscow, in general, they took up a collection plate. You mean the mayor of Moscow's wife who gave $3.5 million to Rosemont Seneca to invest on her behalf so that they could make 10% of any profit she makes? What, $200,000? Rudy, how much you get paid by the Ukrainians when you were over there? The Russian sock puppets. How much? Open your books, Rudy. I think you should do that just so people know how on the level, above board you are. I think it's only fair.
China, $30 million.
Yeah.
A contract for another $30 million had he not become president, signed and put in his name. The guy made a fortune from China. And remember...
Oh, wait a minute. So once Joe Biden became president, Hunter Biden turned out a $30 million deal now, and he's just gone to painting? Huh.
I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to...
Oh! I'm sorry. Run that by me again, fuckhead.
And remember, I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to the New York Post. I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to the New York Post. The amount of just dumbassery around this horseshit. Just one. I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to the New York Post.
Okay, so there's this story about how Rudy Giuliani bought a hard drive when he was in Ukraine for $5 million, that they were shopping around for $3 million, that they had basically cooked up a bunch of compromat, and they'd been openly on the market trying to sell it to somebody in Trump's camp. And Rudy allegedly got $5 million from Trump or somebody and paid for it with that money. That was kind of an underlying story. All the while cooking up this bullshit story about the laptop. Now, there are people who are in on it, who are in the White House, who are in on this whole scheme from the beginning, including Steve Bannon. That's why Trump always says laptop from hell, and they talk about laptop from hell. The book's even called Laptop from Hell because of what Trump said. But Bannon says hard drive from hell, and Rudy talks about the multiple copies of the hard drive that he made. By the way, even if the materials on the hard drive, even if they are real, especially if they are real, because Rudy says they contain nude pictures of underage girls, Rudy Giuliani has made multiple copies of a hard drive with child porn on it and disseminated it. And he's apparently getting paid to do this. So therefore, he is being paid to disseminate child porn. And by the way, can we just run that by you fucking again for just 1 second, if I may?
I have just one of the hard drives that
Just one of the hard drives. Yep, there you have it, kids. It's a printing press of bullshit. I don't want to see a hard drive. We've got... Here you go. Here's a hard drive. Look at that. There's a hard drive, kids. There it is. That's a hard drive. This is Bumpers. It's got some of his music on it. Yeah, that's not evidence. This is, by the way, if you don't know, it says Bumper on it, but it's really, this is Rudy Giuliani's. I have this. This is Rudy Giuliani's. There was there's this guy who ran a computer repair shop who had horns and a club foot, and he stumbled upon this. It fell out of a bag, and it smelled like crime to him. So he thought, give it to me so I can do something with it. So I've had this. I've made dozens of copies on it, and basically it has filth on it that incriminates Rudy Giuliani. It's basically just the Borat movie, and every copy of Rudy's appearances before the Michigan and Pennsylvania State Assembly, because he lied under oath during those two things or whatever. It's all criminal activity. It's all right there, and I've got dozens of them. They came out of a laptop that I have that has the Eric Trump Foundation sticker on it. That's how I knew.
Gave to the New York Post. China and Russia have the rest.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that how many? What the fuck? What? Listen to this sentence for a second.
And remember, I have just one of the hard drives that I gave to
plural
the New York Post. China and Russia have the rest.
Yeah, you tried to buy them. You got outbid at the compromat auction. Hey, somebody was going to out 5 hard drives. I'm going to get a naked picture on some of the deep fakes. Deep fakes sold, American.
Yeah.
And if my hard drive is any indication of how perverted this family is, they own him completely. If they ever put out the pictures there, well, maybe not. Maybe they just wouldn't be published.
Asshole, the pictures are all available.
I mean, the family is a crime.
You mean the deep fakes? Because I don't know why. I think I, like a lot of people, am automatically predisposed to assume that a picture is real. Why in the world would I assume that from this asshole? Why? Based on what? Based on the Tom Cruise videos from that dude who impersonates him?
30 years. The hard drive describes 30 years of taking money for being a senator.
Hey, how many of you have had the same laptop for 30 years?
For being vice president and then for potentially being president. And it amounts to about $30 million bare minimum.
Right.
$1 million a year? Chicken shit money.
And what it proves really to me is that to the Washington establishment, to the mainstream press, which is
the Washington establishment,
potentially being president. And it amounts to about $30 million bare minimum.
Right. And what it proves really to me is that to the Washington establishment, to the mainstream press, which is a part of that in my opinion, they're more comfortable with just traditional American political corruption than they are with somebody coming in from the outside. That's what it.
Oh, you mean, are you talking about Putin or Xi Jinping at this point? Oh, you mean Trump. And by the way, look at the lead-in video after this. Trump, our country is going to hell. Hang in there. You don't have to think about Biden being president any longer. Trump will be here in a second.
Rudy Giuliani,
oh,
sir,
yeah,
thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I mean, this isn't worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
Are you holding up your quote-unquote evidence?
A joke.
It's a joke. And this
America's
is their new anti-corruption plan.
He makes our country a laughingstock with this.
Yeah.
Again, this is the whole thing. Trump thinks that Afghanistan was embarrassing, and the whole thing from the right is they're laughing at us. Huh.
He really does. Sir, thank you so much.
He really does. Yeah. He's making a laughing stock. He really does. I don't even know how to. Okay, I have to check this out. What the fuck is this from?
Throughout your term.
Oh, dear God. Ha, ha, ha. Just keep your eyes closed. Just don't be afraid. Just keep your eyes. It's all right. Just don't think about it. And soon the bad men will be gone. Biden to speak with Putin in Ukraine invasion. Amid Ukraine invasion fears. By the way, all right. Yeah, real quick before we do this. I think this is kind of good. Hold on. This is kind of important. Hold on. I'm going to have to find this in here. Yeah, here it is. Let's see if I can get this over here. This is.
We accept Putin's red line on Ukraine. I won't accept anybody's red line.
Yeah, that was loud. Sorry. It's, do you accept Putin's red lines on Ukraine? And Biden said, I don't accept anybody's red lines. Just to clarify.
Both know that there was this fake Russia hoax, this debunked Steele dossier. You and I
wasn't debunked. It's all true. Stand by it. Please continue.
Talked about it on January 10th, 2017, when CNN and BuzzFeed pushed this out. Now, liberal columnist from the Washington Post, Dana Milbank, is insisting in a column this weekend that the media is tougher on Biden than you.
Yeah, it's true. They're looking at the actual headlines versus what's actually going on.
I don't know how anyone with a straight face can say that, Mr. President. You got, killed every day, no matter how much you accomplished. And now you've got the Washington Post out there saying, we actually cover.
No, they gave him the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, especially far more than he earned, which is what the complaint is.
Biden tougher than we did Trump.
Well, they're just lies, and they continue to lie. It's been the greatest witch hunt in history. I've been under investigation.
I've been to Salem. I call bullshit. And it was red lines, Leather Goddess.
From the day I came down the escalator, they use local state, city. They go all over. They use the federal. What's happened is a disgrace.
Yes, the local, state, federal reporters have been after.
Despite that, we got more done than just about any president in history. If you look at what we did with the biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in history, rebuilt the military, Space Force, took care of our
biggest crowd size at an inauguration ever. Come on, throw it in there just for Sean. Just so he can start twitching.
At 92% approval rating. The southern border was the strongest it ever was. It was
yes, thank you, COVID.
Ever so strong as that. Built just about the wall.
Just about the wall.
Could have finished it in.
Yeah, you know what? The problem, it turns out, the problem with the wall is the area between the slats. Like, there's gaps in it. They forgot to close the gaps. They ran out of spackle.
Month, but they've chosen not to because they want people, many of whom are criminals, coming out of jails.
Well, they'd have to be in jails to be criminals. So everyone else is innocent until proven guilty.
Because every countries are dumping and opening their jails into the United States. We're like a dumping ground.
Oh, that's why dumping. I see. We're a dumping ground for the dumping. Yeah, okay. This doesn't... Keep going, by the way. You don't sound like a rambly old fart at all.
All of the things I did, we had the best numbers on the border in the history of our country.
Hey, man,
we had the best numbers.
Don't forget to mention the border. Did he mention the border yet? We had the best border ever, man. And now we got that, everything was working. And then the slat fence got put up and it sucks. I don't know what happened. I guess that stuff about walls and wheels was bullshit.
The economy and the history of our country, they've never had numbers. And then I did
Never.
it twice because we came up and developed a vaccine in less than 9.
He must have been exhausted. Can you imagine? Listen to what a hero this man is, all right? Think about it for a second. Hold yourself. Hold yourself. This man came up with a vaccine while he had COVID. That's probably what he was doing. He probably gave himself COVID just so he could make a vaccine from his own internal fluids. And then he ran it through a still, and that's saved America.
Instead of 5 to 12 years, which everyone said it was going to take.
5 to 12, anywhere between 3 months, 10 months, 2 years, 5 years, 12 months. I mean, I'm still waiting on that common cold.
And saved tens of millions of lives around the world, all over the world. And then I hear that kind of stuff.
That's terrible he has to hear that stuff. He shouldn't have to hear that kind of stuff. Get this man some presidential earmuffs.
Our country is going to hell.
Oh, dear. What did we do now? We have sinned as a country. That's not good. We need to pray to the Lord Jesus. Sorry, Lord. I apologize for being a piece of shit. And I'll try not to do it again. Amen. Okay, we're not going to hell anymore. I got it covered.
Our country is in big, big trouble.
Well, yeah, if we're going to hell, that's big, big trouble. As a matter of fact, I think math has never been my strong suit, but that is the single biggest trouble you can be in is hell.
What they've done to our country can never be forgotten. There's never been a time like this. We have millions of people.
It hasn't even happened yet, and I've already forgotten it. I feel bad.
Pouring in totally unchecked. They talk about masks and they talk about mandates and vaccines.
Right.
They're not getting any mandates or vaccines or masks or anything
nope,
for the
nobody.
millions of
Yeah, what? I mean, there ain't even a word in Mexican for mask.
That are, in many cases, in serious trouble with infectious disease. And
yeah, whatever you do, don't mention Haiti.
Not only talking about COVID, and they're pouring into our country by the millions. What's happening to our country is so horrible. They are...
We're going to hell. Say we're going to hell again.
They are destroying our country.
They sure are. You ain't got to tell me.
President, I do want to talk to you more about the border.
His name is Donald. It's either Mr. President, the Donald, or Captain Trump.
In just a minute, but you mentioned President Xi Jinping of China and how you...
Don't say that name 3 times, or if otherwise if you have a red envelope nearby, he pops out and takes your wallet.
Tough on him. Today, the Biden administration announced a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing.
Oh, my God, they have reversed it.
Olympics.
Oh, no.
Do you think this is a big enough move? If you were president, would you send Team USA?
Nuke them like a hurricane. That's what you should do. That's what he's going to say. He's going to say, we should nuke them like a hurricane. That'll take care of it.
Hey.
It will have no impact.
Say that again. That was good.
You send Team USA.
It will have no impact. Jimmy Carter tried it, and it really fizzled.
He did? When did that happen? What time was that? Did Jimmy Carter stop building? He's working on a house for a friend of mine, whatever. He's not a licensed plumber. That concerns me.
I wouldn't do that. I do many other things, but I...
Like what? Tell him what you do. He'll tell you, listen, woman. He'll tell him, President, Mr. Donald, Mr. Crumpled Kleenex.
Do that. You're hurting the athlete. I think it's a knock on the Olympics.
How many... Wait a minute. We only have one athlete in the whole Olympics? Oh, my God, we do suck.
Themselves. Who wants to do that? And remember, it's been tried. It was tried by Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. He tried to put solar panels on the White House, and then Ronald Reagan took those things off, hooked up a coal-firing heater to the outside of it, ran the entire White House on diesel, straight from a dinosaur's asshole.
They're doing a diplomatic thing. What does that mean? That means that Biden doesn't have to make a trip, I guess. Instead of going there, he's not going to go there. So he's probably very happy about that.
Why would he be happy? I hear he's in Xi Jinping's pocket. Why would he pass up an opportunity to go over there and take in a deposit?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Hey, don't worry about Hal's time. He's fine. He got to be someplace at 7 o'clock, so he's all right. I'll tell him, no, you guys are worried.
Many things you can do that, well, I did it. Look, I tariffed them at numbers that nobody's ever seen. Again.
Yeah, we never saw those tariffs. That's true. Even they didn't see them. They just jacked up some prices or something. It was all a big phooey.
We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China.
Well, eights.
Businesses started leaving China and coming back to the U.S. and other places.
Yeah, they came back to the other places. From China. I'm confused.
But they started leaving China in record numbers.
And then they started going back this year because Biden had a deal with those folks. He sent them all over there, and they immediately went over there, and then they did it.
And you can do many other things also.
Like what? Tell them what else you do. It'd be good. Tell them. Watch it, lady. Here comes the big football. Here comes the big one. He's going to tell you what you do. You basically just grab them by the wang or something.
Look, the COVID came out of China.
The COVID. Well, there's a bunch of them out there.
Most likely, almost certainly from the Wuhan lab. And the world has paid a price like nobody has ever seen in history.
Well, I mean, no offense, Mr. President, Mr. Donald, Mr. President Donald, that's what I'm going to call him from now on. He's my President Donald. Smallpox would like a word. I'm just going to say, in terms of, you have to understand, I'm not a smart man. I'm not good with math. I almost drowned once just trying to unclog a sink with a Coke bottle stuck in it. But if there's one thing I do know, it's infectious disease. Let me tell you, I've been on that tilt-a-whirl a few times. You know, this leg is hollow for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, we doing all right, I'm just saying, compared. But he's got more to say. I think there's more to say here. I'm excited. What could he be saying?
We are lucky and honored to be joined.
We are lucky. I'm lucky. She's lucky. Wouldn't you like to be lucky, too?
Fifth President of the United States. His new book, Our Journey Together, is out tomorrow. Mr. President, thank you for...
Excuse me, it's a flip book. Hi, Mr. Donald.
Being back on the show. Always a pleasure.
Mr. President, sorry, my Mr. President Donald. I'll get it right eventually.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. It's an honor.
Why would it be an honor? He used to work for you. It's not an honor. The honor is all his and hers.
Well, congratulations. I know this is another in your stack of books, but I'm sure this will be...
Yeah, this is the one you put on the bottom, because from a foundational standpoint, it's like building a campfire.
A bestseller as well. I want to get to the...
Well, A much seller.
Look and what's in it, but there is some breaking news coming out right now. California Congressman Devin Nunes, a strong supporter of yours. I was there early on when he was a stalwart fighting against that Russian collusion hoax. Is rumored to be joining your new media.
That's right. You know how to pick them. The best people. Here it comes.
Company. By the way, the SEC apparently, according to other reports today, is already looking at that company. So, can you comment on?
The SEC. What's SEC stand for? Secure Executive Committee.
Nunes's role and the SEC.
Well, I don't know anything about the SEC. I do know that.
Me neither. See, we have more in common every day.
Is fantastic, and I guess we just put out a release, and the release says that he'll be coming on.
Who? Wait a minute. You put out a release that he's going to be coming on what?
Is fantastic, and I guess we just put out a release, and the release says that he'll be coming on.
That's. Do you need a tissue, or does he need a tissue? I mean, there's a lot of cattle around him. I can't say I blame him.
And, you know, this is just a continuation of witch hunts. Anything you do, they want to look at it.
That's right. They want to check for witches.
At it. They don't look at themselves. They don't look at Hunter. They don't look at anybody. All they do is look at Republicans. Devin is a fantastic guy. I think that he will do an incredible job. If our side doesn't have a voice, eventually you're not going to have. You're going to end up.
He's the voice trying to understand it. Make a noise and make it clear. Oh, 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 oh. I like it when Christina's on The Voice.
Pure communism.
She's purty. Come on.
It's a disgrace what's going on.
It is. It's a disgrace.
But you're going to end up with a communist nation. And so, Devin, we just put out the release on Devin. We're very proud of.
We're going to have a communist nation. That can't be allowed to happen. Not a communist nation. Not Venezuela.
That we're proud of him. And I think it's got a chance of being a very important day, actually. I think it's.
Yeah, I agree. Any day you're on Newsmax and then you immediately go to Flashpoint and you're selling a picture book that costs $4 for $75 is a good day.
Be a very important day.
Very important.
All right. Well, Mr. President, I do want to get back to your book, Our Journey Together.
Yeah.
You talk.
Sell, sell, sell. Always be closing, said the woman about her legs when Trump walks by.
You're dealing with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Tomorrow, President Biden is meeting with Putin regarding Russia amassing over.
Can I just say for a second, this must be the special edition, because that's way bigger than that's taller than the book they were showing. Did they change it? I already ordered 5 copies signed, so there better be room for his signature.
90,000 troops on the Ukraine border. This morning, the Kremlin called the U.S.-Russia relationship quite lamentable. How would you handle this conversation with?
And can you imagine how upset we would be if we knew what that meant?
Tomorrow?
We never had any problem. Nobody was tougher on Russia than...
Nobody had any problems. I mean, they just hacked us and went about their business.
I was, and I liked Putin.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He rides a bear on horseback. No, he brought his bear back on a horse. No, he had a bear on his back. I don't know, some sweaty dude.
Along with him very well, but I was the one that stopped the pipeline. There can be no bigger thing than that. I sanctioned them, and I stopped the pipeline going...
Yeah, the pipeline. Stop that pipeline. Yeah, stop the pipeline. It ain't on yet.
All over Europe. And
wait a minute. There's a pipeline all over Europe? Good. I hope they all get soaked in oil.
Could do bigger than that. Outside of the horror show of war itself, nobody could do bigger than that. And then I hear how nice I was to Russia. I got along great with Putin, but I was tough with Putin. Tougher than anybody ever. Tougher than anybody on... Tougher
than any president that actually was president during the height of the Cold War. Tougher than them. Aiming nukes right at him.
Yeah. Tougher than anybody ever.
Tougher than woodpecker lips.
Also, and if you...
Tougher than a porcupine condom.
Look at North Korea, I got...
Tougher... Sorry.
along great with Kim Jong-un. I got along great with President Xi of China.
Yeah, you did.
And I got along.
Those were your best buds. You guys were thick as thieves. This is like he and Putin were like this, and this is Putin on top. Vladivostok or some, I don't know what they yell.
Well, with Putin, but I was tough at all of them.
Oh, yeah.
With China, we took.
Oh, you gave him a slap right on the tickle.
And hundreds of billions of dollars.
So it's kind of, lady, in case you don't understand, he had a good relationship with these vicious dictators, and he was tough on them. It was a BDSM relationship.
Taxes and tariffs. Nobody's ever seen that before. We
Never.
never took in 10 cents.
Never.
And got them to buy billions and billions of dollars from our farmers and manufacturers. Nobody did to China what I did. Now I see that Biden is going to be talking to Putin, and that's not a
well, yeah, that's what she said. She just told you that.
Match. That wouldn't have been a fair match in prime time. This is not a fair match.
Well, I think it's happening in the middle of the night. I think they're finding them together. I think it was mostly in the afternoon.
Country.
I don't know. That I learned a lot. Did you guys learn a lot? That was good. I have to say, that was pretty magical. After I do that for long, my cheeks hurt. It's relatively painful. Okay. Now, this is an ad. They're doing Old Navy ads. And the weirdness of this is Greg Kelly with Eric Metaxas, who's a big Trump fillator, and the title of this one is How the War on Christmas Made Me Want to Punch My Neighbor, Eric Metaxas. So if you're looking for a truly Christian way to handle the holidays, what you want to look to is the untreated mental illness that is Newsmax.
Is in Christmas, right? Do you remember Bill O'Reilly? We talked about this earlier in the show. He talked about the war on Christmas. It looks like the secular left may have won that war, at least as far as our culture goes. I'd like to bring in our panel, Eric Metaxas, host of the Eric Metaxas radio show. He is the author of Is Atheism Dead? And Mark Simone from iHeartRadio, the great talk show host, of course. Eric, every year we have this conversation, it seems.
Yeah.
But I really do think that O'Reilly was, it might have been a ratings trick at first, but he was onto something.
Oh,
he was ahead of his time.
Absolutely, without question, a ratings trick. Just the guy's a jerk. Oh, by the way, I
believe the war, at least culturally, has been fought and almost won by the left.
Wrong.
Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball. I know you can handle
All right.
it. I like you. You're smart. You ready? The war on Christmas has been fought and lost by the religious Christians, the people who go to church.
So people who go to church lose. I see. So the people who just like, the holidays to be about family, that's still there. But the people who want to claim it as a solely religious holiday and exclude everyone else, those folks lost.
If they really celebrated Christmas,
More Americans believe there is a war on Christmas. That's what this says. Look at that. Oh my God.
if they really, really believe the insane idea that God sent his son to this world, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, et cetera, et cetera. Can you think of a better way to express your deeply held religious beliefs about Christianity and the life of Jesus Christ than God sent his son and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I'm shocked those people lost the war.
Really believed that and lived it out.
Which none of these men do.
There would be no contest. People who say they're Christians, what they really mean is, I'm not a Jew, I'm not an atheist.
Is that what you mean? By the way, Christians, anybody who's Christian is watching, it's not about defining who you are and what you believe, but it's just making sure other people know you don't believe that other stuff.
I'm not a Muslim. I guess I'm a Christian.
I guess I'm a Christian. There you go. True faith.
They really...
By the way, Greg Kelly feels seen right now.
act in a secular way. And so it's up to us who claim to believe this to
There you go. All right, dead giveaway. I think, thanks, Eric, for stating it in a way that we all, I mean, as clear as it can possibly be said.
Act in a secular way. And so it's up to us who claim to believe this to
Run that by me again.
In a secular way. And so it's up to us who claim to believe this.
It's up to you who claim to believe this. That's right. That's right, Greg. You know, look, it's your turn to own the bullshit, Greg. Go for it.
Decide, do I really believe this?
Do you really believe it? Yeah, it's up to you to decide. I always thought it was somebody else. It was my mistake. I thought other people told you what your beliefs are. Why do I tune into Newsmax if not to be told what I'm supposed to believe?
It really happened. If it did happen, if this is true, if this story is more than a fairy tale, it is the most amazing story in the history of the world.
Well, no, I mean, spontaneous birth, while rare, wouldn't be the primary aspect of it. It would be the idea that God sent his son down to actually be killed for humanity's sins would be part of it. More of an Easter message. But what the fuck do you know? You just claim to believe it.
People have called it the greatest story ever told. If people who call themselves Christians...
In all fairness, the people who claim that have not heard my story about going to the Aspen Comedy Festival. It's a good story. It's a grown-up story. It's not quite a family story.
I'm not talking about Gentiles. I'm talking about Christians.
Not Gentiles, not Jews.
Actually believe this.
I actually believe you're in a shitty hotel right now. That's the amazing part. Best Western, I would ask, if you're in that kind of a hotel, and I've stayed in my fair share of them, what you do is you ask housekeeping to change the sheets before you go to bed that night. It's just a good, all the way down to the sheets, and hang out in the room while they do it. Yeah, make sure. Tip them nicely, but make sure that all the bedding goes. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that your jacket is a head lice magnet, but...
And lived it out as though it were true, because it is, it would be a totally different...
Thanks for throwing in that, as though it were true, because it is.
Ball game. It's easy for us to attack the left. The left doesn't really have to do anything except, it's kind of like Lucy with the football. You don't have...
Yeah, that's how we do that every year for Christmas. We take the presents, and you'll try to kick them, and we just move them out of the way.
Kick the football. You can't blame Lucy.
What'd you...
No one I don't know why you're smiling. No one knows what the fuck you just said.
It makes a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. I don't know what the fuck he just said. Do you know what he means? It's a bunch of fucking gibberish.
And I am rather new on my faith journey.
Oh, fuck off. I am rather new on my faith journey. And then he goes, Jesus Christ. New on my faith journey. So I'm new to this whole Christmas thing. New on your faith journey. Really? Is that what your dad, who is the former, police commissioner, would say?
And as a...
What? Did you get baptized? Did you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and personal Savior? Did you become a Scientologist? Have you started taking yoga and everybody at your church thinks you're a Satanist now?
Someone, I don't want to say newly converted, but newly alive in my faith.
Oh, God. All right. I'm not one to... If people have allegedly faith, I give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But I'm going to guess we're about to hear a bunch of the least Christian shit you've ever heard in your life.
I'm surprised that more people are not talking about the peace, the serenity,
Yeah, gee, I don't know why people who watch your show, Greg Kelly, full of lies, manipulations, bullshit, and straight up hate, just frigging hate, don't talk about the peace, the serenity. And look at Eric Metaxas.
Life that is available through Christ. Now, Mark, I don't know if you were expecting this kind of a conversation, but I do think, though, there is, and Eric...
Hold on, wait. First of all, do we need to check a mental hospital because Greg has apparently escaped? Greg, where were you? Were you clubbing last night in your newly found faith? Or did you just hop off a gurney to do this show? Had they set up a green screen in the loony bin?
In on this, there is this feeling, well, we don't want to offend anybody.
Where? Where is this feeling we don't want to offend anybody? And by the way, where the fuck is it offensive to state your religious beliefs? It never has been, it never will be. It's the insistence that other people suck if they don't share yours, which is bad across all religions, that's the problem. Especially the newly converted or whatever you want to define yourself as.
But we don't want to offend anybody. Now, I know Mark is very comfortable offending anybody, so Mark, please weigh in.
You're the least Jesus-y person here, according to our own standards of what we've just made up as Jesus. And Eric is very upset that he started to say something that he believed was as smart as the bullshit he was flapping about earlier.
Of course there's a war on Christmas. I see.
Yeah, well, of course. Guys, it's war on Christmas. I have to move myself out of the way because it's like good God. I just shrink down my name to get me out of the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thumbs up, yada, yada. There's also this up here. There you go. Patreon.com/HouseBarks. Did I have something else in? Okay, there we go. Continuing. I want to hear what this dude's take is. And I don't know the dude, so I don't know why his take would be alternate.
Well, signs, all holidays matter. Fighting this war on Christmas. And it seems...
What? All holidays matter? Oh, God. This is like an all lives matter joke?
Every year, the war on Christmas starts earlier and earlier. Hey, and by the way, all you people, could you start a war on Thanksgiving, too? I'm not crazy about Thanksgiving.
Oh, is this... I don't know. We'll see.
Favorite holiday. But...
well, that's because no one is thankful to be eating a meal with you ever.
The left will always argue that it doesn't exist, it's not real, it's ginned up. But try to put a Christmas tree on a municipal building and see what happens. Try to put a wreath up and you'll see what happens.
Yeah, they often will put up other holiday ornaments as well. They share space because we're a religiously pluralistic society.
It does exist. There's a war on everything nowadays from the left.
Well, no, there's that would be, I guess the war on it would that be the declaration of a defensive war or the attack itself? Because there would be, arguably, you could say there's a war on public spaces by religious adherents of smaller and smaller sects of certain religions.
War on the police department. There's a war on jails. There's a war on every word you want to say.
That's that. I don't even know how you even talk with all that incoming fire.
There's a war on normalcy. That's where
there's a war on normalcy and a war on every word you might want to say, dude. If you want to say those words, I think you have bigger fish to fry than arguing about Christmas with these two newly fake Christians.
War is.
Mark, I think you are correct. There is a war. There is the left. Yes, they waged a campaign. But, Eric, I think I agree with you. Too much. We kind of just surrendered, right?
Of course I agree with Mark. There's no question. But the point is, whether you're a conservative, a patriot, a Christian, I don't care.
Yes. All those different things. A conservative, a patriot, a Christian, whatever. Now, you can't be one of those things without the other two, according to these assholes in this panel.
We don't fight back. If we don't
Yeah, that's the problem. You guys don't fight back. I mean, unless you count January 6th and Timothy McVeigh.
push back. I had a neighbor ask me one day, he put up a wreath on his door in New York City, and he asked me, I'm not joking, is this okay with you? Does this maybe offend you?
What a horribly anti-Christian thing to do. That's because he thought you were Jewish?
I wanted to punch him.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's then obviously it did, because the very idea of kindness and acceptance by your neighbor who was hanging a wreath, you wanted to punch him. If that's not the war on Christmas, I don't know what the fuck is. What are you talking about?
I said, are you joking?
If he was, that's hilarious because he knows he lives next door to a prick. He can probably hear you through the walls.
He wasn't joking.
He was just being neighborly and Christian.
It is people like that.
Yeah, Christians.
Are so worried about offending anybody that they have themselves become, everything is meaningless.
Well, if I may, it might also be that as a Christian, the being a Christian and acting charitably in the world and respectful of other people's was more important to him than a display of emblems. Or he just didn't want to hang a wreath on the fucking door and he was looking for an excuse not to.
If you believe this is a great country, if you believe we should celebrate Columbus Day, Thanksgiving, all these things, celebrate it with everything you have.
Yeah, that's right. Dress up as Columbus, speak Italian, but only take money in Spanish funds. Yes, celebrate Columbus in every way possible. Get syphilis.
Unapologetically.
Yes. Celebrate Thanksgiving by making sure you list all the things you're not thankful for. Spend all, like, the true meaning of Thanksgiving is spending 96 hours shitting on the government of the United States.
Or I'm gonna put it on people. I'm gonna say you don't believe it. You
heretic.
Self don't believe this is a great country, even though people died so we could have freedom. You don't believe the Bible is true, that God is true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so timid. Your timidity betrays your fear, your lack of beliefs.
Or you just know that people died so you could live in a religiously pluralistic society where people don't enforce their religious beliefs on their neighbors, but show them in a kind way, and letting your neighbor know that this is not a no Jews allowed sign that you're putting on your door, but indeed a wreath that's accepting to all. And if it made you upset, it wouldn't be worth the wreath, because to me, this has deeper meaning than just a display. I'm fucking with you. Punch him.
You have to figure out, do we believe these things?
No, you don't.
And if you believe...
Greg doesn't. Look at this. What the fuck am I supposed to believe? What part of this is the Jesus part? I was just saying peace and solace or whatever.
You better live like you do, and then you're not going to worry what people think.
Yeah, Jesus cast the elves out of North Pole. That's what he did. He drove the elves out of the North Pole.
I know you're doing them a favor because you're telling them the truth, and they didn't know it yet.
Yeah. Until this guy moved in next to Eric Metaxas, this poor sap thought that Christmas was about charity, giving, and kindness. But he showed him.
I love it, Eric. I love it. Mark, final thoughts?
You know, the Puritans, that was the last time we saw anything like this, where they were offended by every little thing. Believe it.
Oh, you mean the people who left left England to come to the New World? And if they hadn't been offended by everything, literally wouldn't have started the country. And you could argue that if anything is began America, according to this asshole, it's literally political correctness. Like the country was built on political correctness.
I think it was in the 1650s. They
Yes. They were tired of being offended, so they came over here.
The celebration of Christmas for a while. I mean, so you're going back to this ridiculous puritanical nonsense.
That was the heart of the existence of the country, and if it hadn't existed, they would have just stayed in England as part of the Protestant Reformation.
Eric Metaxas,
literally, that's fucking dumb. That's like beautifully dumb. What a way to wrap this up.
Mark Simone, of course, we appreciate it. To be continued, gentlemen. Oh, check out Mark on iHeartRadio, of course. And Eric's book is Atheism Dead. It came.
Why would you put Eric? Why would you put a question mark on the end of it when you're definitely making a Nietzschean reference? Why wouldn't you just say atheism is dead? Because that's the case he's making. So why wouldn't you just say it? That was the whole thing from Nietzsche. God is dead. So why don't you just put atheism dead? Maybe, but you have a question mark? Don't you realize, Eric, that when you're timid like this, it just proves you don't really believe what you're saying? What a dick.
Just about 6 weeks ago, available wherever books.
Yeah, nobody knew. Came out about 6 weeks ago, and
we'll be right back.
He's never read it. So you've had 6 weeks to read it, and you haven't cracked a page. What a prick. All right. Shit, how long is this? Oh, this is going to be a long one. God damn it, it's 12 minutes long. Okay, I don't have time to do that because I've got to go to rehearsal. Damn it. We had Glenn, and I don't even know which Glenn Beck it was. Oh, it was, he's dressed as, Mexican restaurant Aztec cowboy Glenn Beck action figure today with his snow mic and his Digi-Halo from the Matrix. Fucking hell. Okay, I don't have time for that one. I apologize. I wish I did, but I'm kind of glad I don't. I got to go to Nerd Halen rehearsal, and then I have a long drive ahead of me on my newly patched tire. So I'm going to drive all night just to get back home, 'cause I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive. But I do want to say to you guys before I go that you guys were a lot of fun today, and I learned a whole bunch just looking at you guys. You guys were wonderful, and I want to thank you for being here. I want you to thank you for subscribing, keeping me in as much dog food and burlap underwear as I can smile my way through. Come on now. And let me tell you what, we're going to have a good show the rest of the week and whatnot. We're going to have some holiday stuff. I'm working on a song for the Christmas special. That's right. Good old Howie's doing a Christmas special. I'm going to be singing a song. Good old traditional Christmas song. Just bring a tear to your eye. Oh, man, we're going to have some food. We're going to have a wonderful meal. Put some food that'll purr your teeth, curl your hair, and give your tongue a sleigh ride. Christmas dinner so tasty that if you put the plate on your head, your tongue will beat your brains out trying to get at it. I mean, come on. But until that time, I'll see you fellers next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm Fekus. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, everybody. Oh. Sorry, I just realized I'm not wearing pants. I can't get up. All right.